Good afternoon, athletes. Here, let me see if I can get these guys a little bit closer together. Okay, so I did want to get you guys together to talk about meal prep hacks, as well as we launched our Flex Our Fitness or Flex Your Fitness today in camp. So if you haven't made it into camp yet today, definitely make sure you listen to the trainers as far as direction there. We're going to challenge you guys on 5 different exercises. It's going to be a progressive overload, so meaning that week 1, we're going to do 15 reps of specific exercises, and you're going to challenge yourself and record the heaviest weight that you're able to utilize this week. And then next week, we're going to ramp that rep count down to 10 reps for those same 5 exercises. And then week 3, we'll ramp it down to 7 reps. And then week 4, we will ramp it down to 5 reps. So as the rep count goes down, we want to see you guys progress and take the rep count up, the weight up. Okay. So so in both locations, you're going to see that there is a big poster board, 2 big poster boards where you can write your name down and write the heaviest weight that you are using for that specific exercise. So in today's camp, we're actually tackling 2 of the exercises. It's going to be a tricep press and a burn bar 1-arm row. So you're going to, again, record the highest rep count for both of those exercises, or highest weight for both of those exercises. And then we'll see how the weight you use progresses over time as that rep count goes down. So I'm going to talk a little bit later today with how you can optimize on your performance during this Flex Your Fitness challenge. But before I get there, I did want to review some meal prep hacks with you guys to keep you on track, as well as give a shout out to, I'm seeing pretty much every focus meeting that I've been in over this last week or so, and even, hearing from the other trainers. You guys are doing an excellent job. I'm hearing left and right where people are increasing their muscle mass, decreasing the fat mass, and the overall body fat percentage is going down. We got Barbara Klaus at Palm Harbor that has seen phenomenal results so far. And again, it's just been, pretty minor tweaks, but she's seeing a big bang for her buck with those little changes that she's made, a little bit more of a focus on the veggies, making sure she's starting the day with a savory breakfast, and just overall, cutting down on the sugars and alcohol and things like that. So we had Christy DiTomaso in Palm Harbor that is having excellent results so far. So give a little golf clap for them. Give me a thumbs up so that we show them some love. I know Marina just had a check-in. She's seeing muscle mass going up and fat going down. Kelly W, same thing. She just had a check-in this morning. Same thing all around there. And Priscilla at the Largo location, she's killing it. I think she went up 1.7 pounds in muscle mass and down 4 pounds of fat. And that's what I'm seeing across the board here, guys. So excellent job. Keep up the great work there. And just goes to show you that when we do, start the day off with a savory breakfast and we prioritize our veggies and protein, our body's going to respond in ways that work towards our body composition goals. All right. So keep the eye on the prize. And don't forget, guys, this is not a linear process. It's not that, just because we, focus on the veggies and the protein every day, you're not necessarily going to see that number change every day consistently across the board. What you're going to see more than likely is that we plateau for a week, and then we might see a little pop, and then we plateau again, and then we might see another little pop. But the most important thing, which I'm so happy to see, is that for the most part, everyone is either maintaining their muscle mass or we're seeing a nice increase in their muscle mass while the fat is going down. So pounds of fat is going down, pounds of muscle is going up, or at least staying the same. So that is optimal. So all around the board, we're seeing body fat percentages going down for those people that are following along with the protocol that we've laid out for the Nail Your Nutrition. Okay, so along those lines, real key thing to make sure that we stay on track with our Nail Your Nutrition. It is really important to be as prepared as possible. And what's up, guys, at the Largo location? We got Pat in the house. We got Estefania. We got Karen. I think I saw Priscilla hopping on there too. So congrats, Priscilla, on your results so far. So my words of advice to you, and I've got some tips from other trainers as well. I solicited their input in preparation for this meeting. So I'll go over their best meal prep hacks as well to give you just as many simple, straightforward ideas as possible. And then, let you decide what's going to work best for you considering your schedule and your life situation. But number one, most important, keep it simple. Don't feel like you need to make these Pinterest-worthy meal prep meals every day to where we've got 5 bowls of, zucchini noodles and turkey meatballs and sauce and, roasted veggies or whatever. Yes, if you can do that, that's wonderful. But if it creates undue stress in your life, then, just focus on making sure that you have, and this is kind of along the lines of what Coach Jess was saying, having, 2 to 3 vegetables prepped ahead of time. And it can be as simple as rinsing and tossing them maybe in a little bit of olive oil and some different seasonings and salt and pepper, garlic, oregano, things like that, paprika, tossing it in a sheet pan and then tossing it in the oven at 400 for 20 minutes. And then you've got, some veggies that you can throw in some Tupperware that's ready to go. Maybe you make it for dinner one night and then you store the leftover veggies in some Tupperware so that you have it to snack on for at least the next couple of days. All right. But the key thing here is you want to be prepping your protein and your veggies, right? And again, that goes back to Coach Jess's tip. Protein and veggies are going to be more challenging to find on the go. I know we're constantly running around, dropping the kids off at school in a rush to get to work. And, so the hardest things to find on the go are going to be prepped protein and it's going to be prepped veggies, right? Because we find carbs everywhere. We find carbs on the go. It doesn't matter where we go. We find carbs everywhere. So I wouldn't necessarily worry about prepping your carbs other than maybe making a big batch of rice or a big batch of quinoa so that you have easy grain bowls that you could be making on a daily basis for lunches or for dinners. But outside of that, I would definitely focus my efforts on prepping the veggies and prepping the protein. And the veggie prep, it can be as simple as buying pre-chopped veggies from Costco, Publix, Sprouts, whatever it is. Get the bags that maybe have a variety of different veggies in it. It could be a stir-fry mix. And then just make sure you get a sauce that is Whole30 approved. Maybe it's a teriyaki sauce, something like that, to where all you literally have to do is open up the bag, rinse the veggies, throw some olive oil in a pan, dump the veggies in there, and then toss it together with some teriyaki sauce or something like that. And then whatever leftover veggies, guess what? That can be your lunch for the next day. Okay, so let's not make it complicated. Let's keep it simple and straightforward. But the most important thing is to have the veggies and the protein ready to go in the fridge. So again, pay extra to get them pre-chopped if we're in a season of our life where we don't have enough time for all the chopping. I think, Publix and Sprouts and even Target are great sources to get mixed veggies, mixed chopped veggies, all in one bag so that you get a good variety and you can eat the rainbow with your veggies. The more different colors, the more different micronutrients you're going to get. So definitely focus on getting like a mixed bag of veggies or, get multiple different bags of veggies and then you can mix them together on your own. Or if you have enough time, then you want to make sure that you pick a date, time, and place to do your chopping. For me personally, if I'm going to do chopping, I'm going to do it on a Sunday morning before the rest of my family wakes up. Okay. Because I tend to be the first one to wake up. It's just, I get, I can't, with me getting up so early during the week, it's hard for me to sleep in. So, I might as well do something useful. I might get, the bags of veggies, on Friday or maybe on Saturday, and then I'll do my chopping on Sunday morning and then place them in different Tupperware baskets. So, Tupperware, bins so that they're ready to go when I need them. And maybe I'll just leave them raw and not, cook them up. Something like bell peppers. It's going to be better if you chop them up ahead of time. Make sure that they're just in an airtight, Tupperware container or a glass container, and try and get as much air out of those containers as possible. And then you'll be surprised at how long they're going to stay fresh, guys. So don't worry about having to chop fresh daily. Something like a bell pepper will keep throughout the week, and they're not going to get mushy. I just would recommend that you don't necessarily cook them up ahead of time, and just more like cook them on demand as you're prepping or cooking whatever other foods. Something like, let's just say lettuce. If you're going to, buy a head of lettuce and chop it up, you can chop that ahead of time. And then one hack that I've seen that I do really feel that it works is you can even still use the container that it comes in. And what you can do is place paper towels on the top and then flip the container over. And then that's going to help you just absorb the excess moisture from the spring mix, romaine lettuce, whatever it is. And you will notice that it's going to stay fresher longer and not start to get soggy. Glass bowl and paper towel or parchment paper works great to keep peppers fresh. Yes, I didn't even think about the parchment paper. Great idea, Priscilla. Thank you so much for sharing that. And over time, I am trying to, steer away from the plastic Tupperware and lean more towards the glass. But if all you've got right now is Tupperware, then use it, guys. Don't be afraid to use the plastic Tupperware. But longer term, the thought is that, you want to eventually switch to your glassware so that, we're not getting any like residues from the plastic Tupperware. But as long as we're not reheating our food in the plastic, you're going to be minimizing that as much as possible. So I think for storing, plastic is going to be okay. Glass is going to be ideal, but I don't, again, we want to keep it simple for now. So don't feel that you can't use the plastic Tupperware in the meantime while you're building that routine, because the most important thing is to build those practice reps with your meal prep. Okay. And guys, if you have, Priscilla shared a great one here. So if you have any other meal prep hacks or strategies that have been working really well for you, definitely feel free to, share in the comments here, or even do a post in the athletes page where, hey, this has been working for me. So, you want to just pay it forward and share it with other people. Okay, so we talked about chopping ahead of time or paying extra to get your veggies chopped for you. I'm a big one for that right now. Here's another one that I like to utilize. I think for the most part, I'm a big Costco fan, so you're going to hear me talking about Costco a lot. But I know Sam's Club and Sprouts and other places like that will have it too. But you can get your healthy fats like guacamole or hummus in the individual serving size. So it's going to be like, a little cylinder size amount, like a disc basically. To where, I highly recommend that you get it in the single serve, because then it's going to just make it that much easier for you to grab things on the go for your lunchtime snacks. So I know a big one that Morgan does is she cuts up her bell peppers and then she takes like a single serve of hummus with her. So that can just make like a great mid-afternoon snack or a great mid-morning snack where you don't have to worry about scooping out the serving size every time. It's done for you, and then you can recycle the leftovers. So just make it easy, breezy, lemon squeezy as much as possible. But again, I do encourage you guys to continue reading your labels. So just make sure that whichever, guacamole or avocado or hummus that you're picking, let's make sure that we don't have those vegetable oils or those canola oils in the makeup of it, and that we're leaning more towards your organic and hummus or any other healthy fats that use more of like your olive oil as your base, as opposed to like a canola oil. So just be on the lookout for that, and make sure you're continuing to read those labels. So let me get into the tips from your trainers here. So Coach Nina, she says that she loves the containers with built-in strainers. I have actually not heard of this. I've seen the like little strainer things where you can like spin it around and it like dries, it kind of spins off the excess water from like your spring mix or your romaine mix or whatnot. So she's saying that there are containers that you can buy with built-in strainers. So she washes her fruits and veggies and then cuts them and puts them away in these strainer containers. And you don't have to worry about drying them and waiting for them to letting them hang out and drying them. And she's also a big fan of hard boiling her eggs in the air fryer. And she'll do a dozen eggs at a time. I'm a big fan of that too. I don't do it in the air fryer, but I do it in the Instant Pot. I just set it on manual for 2 minutes, and then I do a quick release, and then I put it in an ice bath because I actually prefer soft-boiled eggs instead of hard-boiled eggs. Priscilla's saying she also marinates her meats and set up the Ziploc bags packed with her meat servings, save space and time, and then her portions are preset, and then she just pops it in the air fryer or bakes it as needed. I love that. Yes, the more we can marinate, the less you're gonna feel the need to, do things like coat your meats in breadcrumbs or things like that. Not that breadcrumbs are necessarily bad, but some of us that are trying to avoid gluten, if we're marinating and letting those meats sit in the marinade overnight in the fridge, then they're going to come out so tender and so much full of flavor that you're not going to feel like you need to add extra sauces to it. You're not going to need to, roll them in breadcrumbs, and then you're just going to get just pure protein, and we're not adding any extra sugars or higher glycemic carbs by coating them or things like that. But there are strategies too if we're trying to avoid gluten. You can also coat your chicken in things like almond flour or panko. I think, let me double check I'm not 100% sure if panko is gluten-free or not. But there are other options besides, straight up breadcrumbs that you can use if you want to get like that crunchy texture. You can even, honestly, mince up or kind of like, take like a tenderizer mallet, and you can, get some pistachios or maybe some macadamia nuts, and you can crush nuts down to almost like pulverize it, but not quite a powder. And then you can coat your fish or your meats in like a nut coating too. So that can be another option that is totally gluten-free, and it's going to add a lot of flavor, especially like with the pistachios or the macadamia nuts, and you're going to get some healthy fats from those nuts as well. And then one other tip from Nina, egg bites in muffin tins are also a win. She'll use cottage cheese to make them fluffier and give them extra protein. Cottage cheese is also a great mid-morning snack. All right, and Priscilla's saying walnut too. Priscilla, have you tried crushing the walnuts and coating like your meats in walnuts as well? Let me know if that is the case. That sounds like something interesting to look into. So with the egg bites, what Nina is describing here, that's when we go to Starbucks and you see those egg white Starbucks or the egg bite Starbucks, that's exactly what she's doing. She's making it at home for like a fraction of the cost, and you can do a dozen of them at a time. And then guess what? You do one bake on a Sunday morning, and then you're set for the whole rest of the week. And then you can get fancy with it, switch up the veggies. And like she said, if we don't have any dairy issues, then cottage cheese is definitely a great way to add more protein to it. And you can play around with whether you use low fat or full fat. It's all going to depend on what your goals are and how the balance of your day looks as far as your protein goals and your fat goals. And depending on how detailed we want to be, but there's absolutely nothing wrong with using full fat cottage cheese. It just kind of depends on, how your body responds to, what portion of fats, and where you're at with your hormones. Your hormones are definitely going to enjoy the full fat cottage cheese, and you're going to feel more satisfied with the full fat cottage cheese. And you're also getting some good, micronutrients from the full fat version as well. So cottage cheese in your egg bite muffins, and throw some little different veggies in there. Spinach, mushrooms, maybe some diced up tomatoes, some diced up red onion. And again, you can find those diced up onions or bell peppers in the produce section at Publix. Not so much Costco, but I think Sprouts has it as well. And I'm betting that Walmart will have it too. Okay, so Priscilla's saying she did chicken ones with balsamic glaze. That is awesome. So just like a little drizzle on top to add a little extra flavor to it. I love it. Coach Shannon, her tip, she said she gets bored easily, so she doesn't meal prep in the traditional sense, but instead she makes one giant portion of a healthy dinner. And I think Coach Jess basically does this too, where, you know, she'll make a bigger portion of it that will last her, you know, maybe 2 meals. So if you make something that's a little bit fancier for dinner, make sure you make enough so that you have enough leftovers for lunch. And maybe the lunch is going to be enough for the next 2 lunches. Okay. So, you know, she's making it worth her while by, you know, just making a bigger portion of something that may be a little bit fancier. And then she does take the time up front to actually create that recipe in MyFitnessPal, so that she can see exactly how many grams of protein, how many grams of fat, how many grams of carbs. And then when she does that recipe again at some point, it's very easy for her to log that again the next time, because MyFitnessPal will keep it for her. So it may be a little bit tedious, a little bit more work up front, but it's definitely worth your while the next time you go to use that recipe again. And then when you go to log it for lunch your next day. Okay. And to Coach Nita's point, you know, you want to, and what Priscilla was saying, portion it out. So whenever you put that recipe in there, it will give you an opportunity to say, how many servings is this? So definitely make sure that you stick with that serving size so that you can get it as accurate as possible. Because I know usually with those recipes, they're going to have multiple ingredients. It's going to be a little bit harder to keep it, you know, it's not going to be exact, but it's going to get you directionally correct, okay? But do try and stick with, if you think it's going to be 4 portion sizes and it's just you and your significant other, then make sure that you have 2 servings left over for lunch the next day, so that roughly speaking, you're hitting about the same calories and about the same macronutrients from one day to the next. All right, Coach Anna, she is a big snack prepper, and I think that might have a little bit something to do with the fact that she's got 3 girls and I'm sure her kids are always wanting snacks too, and I'm sure she's making enough snacks to where her kids are eating the same thing she is. So great job there, Coach Anna. So she will prep her snacks, and kind of along the same lines of what Priscilla was saying, you know, having different size Ziploc bags where she might be doing the chopping ahead of time, but then she's going to like take a large bag of fruit or a large bag of veggies, do her chopping, portion it out into several different Ziploc bags. So that way when she opens up the fridge door, she can literally just grab 1 or 2 bags, or, you know, however many, to keep her and her girls happy. And then she knows exactly the portion size of each one. And then it just makes it easier for her to understand, you know, how much she's eating throughout the day. And it just makes it easier for her because she's constantly on the go. She's literally running all over the place all day long. And she has amazing energy, and she needs those snacks to keep her energy levels up all day long. So excellent example, Coach Anna. And then she's a big fan of the little containers of hummus to go along with her veggies as well. And then, you know, she's in a better mood when she has her snacks. So good. We want to keep Coach Anna happy. I'm glad to hear that. And then Coach Jess over at the Largo location, I kind of mentioned it before, but she's a big fan of prepping a bunch of veggies, 2 different proteins like every 2 days, and then she's mixing and matching. So maybe she's preparing the veggies separately, or kind of like, you know, maybe 1 or 2 of her boys like these veggies better than the other veggies. So she's kind of keeping the veggies separated, but then she's kind of mixing and matching over the next 2 days, so that maybe she's only cooking like every 2 days instead of every single day. Because again, she's another one that's got 3 kids and she's very busy. So, but she's making that time to plan and prepare ahead of time so that she can just pretty much hit the ground running with the veggies and the proteins that she's got already stocked in her fridge. And then she's keeping it fresh by just swapping out the different veggies every day or mixing and matching the proteins. Okay, so I think that was a lot of really great tips from our trainers. They know what they're talking about. And guys, with where we're at on our Nail Your Nutrition Challenge, if you have not had a midpoint check-in yet, I do highly recommend that you book a focus meeting just to make sure that all the changes that you've implemented, that we're moving the needle in the right direction. And if not, at least then you can work with your trainer to identify what changes need to be made. It could be like a little tweak. I think it was with Priscilla that I was chatting with this morning, where we talked about, maybe let's, no, I don't think it was Priscilla, but I was chatting with somebody this morning about, okay, if, we're not getting fish in, then let's just to make sure that we continue on seeing that muscle mass increase and supporting that muscle mass growth. If we're not big fish fans, then let's make sure that the next time we go out to the store, stock up on fish oil. I'm a big fan of taking it like with my daily lunch. And that way we just ensure that we're getting in enough omega-3s, to minimize the inflammation that we get post-workout, cause as we all know, we work out, we're not actually building muscle as we're working out. We're actually creating little micro tears throughout our muscles that, our body has to work to repair post-workout. That's why all our trainers all the time are going to, reiterate the message of like, let's make sure we get the protein in post-workout. Those are the building blocks that your body needs to repair those micro tears. But then things like omega-3 from fish oil or from salmon or any other type of fish, tuna, you want to make sure that you're loading up your body with those great omega-3 micronutrients as well to just help support the muscle building process, help reduce inflammation, because, while your body is, while it's creating those micro tears, it is creating some inflammation, but it's for the greater goods. You do have to create inflammation in order to continue to see muscle growth, okay? So not all inflammation is necessarily bad, but we do want to reduce inflammation from the foods that we're eating. So we definitely want to minimize our processed foods so that overall we're minimizing the overall inflammation. And then let's see here. So with that, going into Flex Your Fitness, yes, again, we're creating little micro tears in our muscles with how we're challenging our muscles with the push movements, with the pull movements, with the hinge movements, with our deadlifts later on this week. And here are the two things that we need for muscle growth, right? We need to challenge the muscles by lifting heavy weights. And again, as I said before, we want to make sure that we're challenging our muscles with strength training oriented exercises, ideally every 48 hours. So as you see with our burn protocol, we are going back, for the most part, back to a strength training oriented focus every 2 days. So that we continue to keep that muscle building signal throughout our body. So that's one piece of the puzzle. But the other piece of the puzzle is, again, giving our body the building blocks that it needs to repair those micro tears that we're creating and to be actually, making those muscles bigger and stronger at the end of the day as it repairs those micro tears that we've created, because you are sending a signal to your body that, ooh, Kelly's trying to lift heavy things. So to be better prepared for next time, we're going to make those muscle fibers bigger and stronger so that she can, do that same strength oriented exercise better next time, because she is feeding me those building blocks of protein that we need to make those muscles stronger next time. So we're definitely going to prioritize protein. I'm still going to say, number one, prioritize the veggies. If our focus is more body composition oriented, meaning that we want to drop our body fat percentage, then we still want to make sure that, and just from a blood glucose level again, prioritize eating the veggies first and then eating our protein second. And then ending our meal with our starchy carb, and the healthy fats are just kind of sprinkled in throughout, because it just makes everything taste better when we sprinkle in those healthy fats on the veggies and on the protein and on the starchy carbs. And if your focus is definitely more of a pure strength training and we struggle with getting our protein in, then in that situation, you might want to actually prioritize protein over the veggies. But again, that's where I would look for you to follow up with your trainer specifically and get into a focus meeting and talk through, if I'm trying to focus more on muscle build and I'm not really focused on reducing the fat or decreasing my body fat percentage, then, should I be switching gears and prioritizing the protein first? And that's okay during this Flex Your Fitness challenge. I don't want to confuse you, but if we are trying to still stay focused on that nail your nutrition and come out strong with our body fat percentage decreasing, then let's, keep our eye on the prize, still put the veggies first, put the protein second, and then your starchy carbs last. If your focus is definitely more of just a pure muscle build, then that's where I'm definitely going to say prioritize eating your protein first. But I think a lot of us post New Year's, we're still a little bit more focused on the body recomposition and kind of, moving both levers at the same time, trying to reduce down the fat while we're building the muscle at the same time. So if you're fitting in that bucket, keep your eye on the prize, still stay where you're at with veggies first, protein second, and then your starchy carb last. But here's the other thing. I know a lot of us struggle with getting our protein in. So I want to talk about, just incorporating as many different sources of protein as possible just to make it that much easier to achieve your goal. So, animal proteins, definitely, they're a complete protein, so it makes it a no-brainer. For those of us that don't have issues with getting our animal protein in, definitely stay the course with that. Get full servings if we can, get that full hand size amount in. That way we can count it as roughly 5 to 6 ounces of animal protein. So chicken, fish, shrimp, steak, whatever it may be. And that's going to get you roughly 40 to 50 grams of protein. So if we get 2 full hand size amounts in, that's going to get you to your 100 grams. But if we really, really want to maximize, I'd love to see 1 gram of protein per 1 pound, either lean body mass or total body mass or total pounds. Okay. So if we're 140 pounds, I'd love to see 140 grams of protein per day to really maximize on the building blocks that your body needs to repair and make those muscles stronger each time. But that's challenging, right? So let's use our sources of complete proteins as well as our sources of incomplete proteins. So, sprinkle in a variety, and not just with your animal protein. So, don't always just eat chicken. You definitely want to mix it up. If we can, maybe sprinkle in a steak once a week. And this is all going to be dependent on, whatever discussion you've had with your, primary care physician or whatever guidance you've gotten from your healthcare providers. But if, for the most part, if we don't have blood pressure issues, things like that, it's not necessarily a bad thing to sprinkle in a steak here or there, or some kind of, we could use lean ground beef, because there are good micronutrients in beef that you're not necessarily going to get in high of a percentage, from your chicken breasts or things like that. You're going to get, good sources of iron, good sources of B12, and then, complement it with things like peppers, bell peppers, that are going to provide the vitamin C to help your body uptake the iron in those sources of red meat. And then let's see if we can sprinkle in the fish. Okay. See if we can get in salmon once a week, or grouper, or shrimp. Shrimp and salmon both have, micronutrient known as astaxanthin, which helps with, body recomposition goals. So, again, just getting variety in with your animal proteins, but then also let's tap into our plant-based sources of protein as well. So something like a handful of spinach, you're actually going to get 1 gram of protein from a handful of spinach. Who knew? So while we're making those protein shakes, if we can throw in a handful of spinach, throw it into a blender, you're not going to taste the difference at all. And you're going to get some really good micronutrients from the spinach. So that's just one quick, easy example. But we can also tap into other plant-based options like tofu, edamame, quinoa, peas, beans. So, don't be afraid to sprinkle in those plant-based sources of protein too. Chickpeas is another great one. Thanks, Priscilla. And it's just gonna, and then you're gonna get so these plant-based sources are not complete sources of protein. They're incomplete sources of protein. But when you pair them with other plant-based sources of protein, they do complement each other and make a complete protein. So that's why it is important to get a variety of different plant-based protein sources so that they can come together and make a complete branch chain amino acid profile, basically, so that you're getting all the different amino acids that you need from the different plant-based sources. And let's not neglect our dairy sources. I know some of us, we have dairy issues, so that we can be a little bit limited there. But if we don't have dairy issues, then definitely, make sure we tap into the Greek yogurt, tap into the cottage cheese, and some of us, maybe we can even still do milk, and use milk as the base of your shakes. Again, this is all going to depend on the balance of your day, what your overall macronutrient goals are. If we're more focused on a muscle building phase, then by all means, use full fat milk, use full fat Greek yogurt, use full fat cottage cheese. If we're trying to optimize our hormones right now, again, totally cool to use your full fat versions. If we're in a little bit more of a body recomp stage, then, again, you have to look at the balance of your day, and it might be worth your while to sprinkle in a lower fat cottage cheese or use the low fat Greek yogurt so that way you're just getting pure protein from those sources. But again, everyone's specifics are going to be a little bit different here. And that's where I'm definitely going to guide you. Make sure you book a focus meeting so that you can have those discussions with the trainer that you work with primarily, and talk through, like, what am I really trying to achieve longer term? What's going to be a sustainable option? Or do we periodize? Maybe we just take a period of time where we use the lower fat version, and then once we get closer to our goal, we switch back to the full fat version. And here's another tip for you guys. If you've been, meeting with the same trainer, and, maybe we've been seeing results, but maybe we just want to hear a different perspective, there's absolutely nothing wrong with scheduling a focus meeting with a different trainer as well. I've heard of several examples at the Largo location where, they were used to meeting with one trainer in the evening, and then that trainer got booked up. So then they met with another trainer, and they were a little bit worried that first time. But then once they actually got to meet with that trainer, they were like, wow, that trainer just looks at things a little bit differently. And I'm actually really glad that I did that, because it is nice to get a different perspective from the different trainers. Overall, I'm very, the team that we have on board with our trainers, they do an amazing job, guys, and they really know their stuff. So I have full confidence that, whether we're meeting with Coach Anna over here or Coach Chase in the evenings, you're going to get a high quality focus meeting with any trainer that you meet with. But I will say you're going to find that, some trainers are going to have just a little bit different approach, but they're all going to tell you the same thing. The more you focus on whole foods, the better. The more you focus on getting your protein, the better off you're going to be. The more you make sure you get enough active recovery or just overall recovery in, the better off you're going to be. So, those are going to be common staples regardless of which trainer you meet with. They might just have a little different spin that might, reignite a little spark in you to where you're like, what? Let me, take this trainer's advice and let me just do a little different spin on it. Maybe I'll try it out for a month and see how my body responds to making a little tweak change here, or just a different perspective overall on how I approach my nutrition and my training. But again, same thing at the end of the day. They're all going to give you sound advice, but they're just going to have a little bit different perspective. As an example, Coach Bella, she's going to be more plant-based, but she's never going to tell you, don't eat eggs or don't eat chicken. She's going to work with you based on, what your main sources of protein are. But if you're curious and you want to go a little bit more vegan or vegetarian based, then she's going to be an excellent resource for, different ways that you can get your protein in using a plant-based option. So, it's always very interesting to see their different perspectives, and how they approach it from a different angle. But again, I am pleased as plum with all the trainers on board. They do an amazing job. So you're never going to go wrong with any of the trainers there as far as the guidance that they provide you. I love the wealth of knowledge that all of them have. So with that being said, that's pretty much all I have for you guys today. But feel free to make additional comments here with, what meal prep ideas have been working for you. Pay it forward to the other members, or, take a little picture, share a recipe that's been working for you, that's been keeping it easy. I've been, making my little pictures of my veggie omelet every morning. And you know what? And that's holding me accountable, because I know that that's what I need to do to start my day off on the right foot. So for me, just posting that little picture, that lets me know I'm starting my day off on the right foot, and I'm paying it forward to you guys that might be at a different spot on your fitness journey. So the more we pay it forward. So guys, feel free, take a silly picture of your food, because that might ignite inspiration in someone else that maybe you don't even know them, but we share it to the main page and they're like, wow, that looks good, and it looks like it's relatively easy to do. And then you're helping somebody else achieve their goals, and I can't think of a better way to feel good about myself. It makes me happy when I see you guys progressing. So definitely feel free to pay it forward and share those little tips that have been working for you, so that we're all succeeding together. All right, guys, but you've been doing a great job. I'm loving the results here. I can't wait to hear more of them. So make sure you book that midpoint check-in and share with me your results. Message me on here, post your results on the athletes page, post your results on your own personal page, and share on Instagram, whatever way works for you. I just want you guys to continue to positively reinforce yourselves and pay it forward to someone else that might be at a different point on their fitness journey, and keep crushing it, guys. You guys are making me very happy, and let's get 2 claps on 2. All right, ready? 1, 2. All right, guys, see you soon. Have a good one. Bye.